in and tuned in this morning. Seems like a year or two ago, someone came to us and said, "Hey, do you guys do any training on customer service?" And of course, my first reaction was, well, what's that got to do with loss control? But actually, when I thought about it, customer service is loss control. How we treat people really is a key factor, in what might happen, at least from a financial standpoint. And I think one of the things we want to talk about today and really kind of take away from this is that customer service is all about building relationships. Are you going to sue your mom and dad? Well, maybe. You just might. But in all likelihood, if it's a friend, someone you like, someone you've had good experiences with, you're more likely to work something out with that person rather than trying to, make a bigger deal out of it. And so how we treat people and how people feel about us is really important, not just from a loss control standpoint, which is of course how we think, but from just, how we function, every day in our entities, how we get along with the people that we serve, because it can make your life really difficult or not. What happens when someone is unhappy with the service they've received at your district, at your city, or at the county? Well, generally they might come forward, they may go to a public meeting, voice their complaints in a public meeting. Heck, they may run for office and try and become your boss. And if they already don't like you, that can be a problem too. So really good customer service makes life easier from many different standpoints, and it makes it better for those who have to interact with us as well. So when we talk about customer service, and specifically within a government entity, it's kind of important to think about what is the perception out there. If we're talking about customer service, we need to know what the customer thinks. And of course, I did a search a couple of years ago on this topic, and I came up with this article. And the author was writing about customer service in government organizations. And this is basically, how he leads off the article. He asks, what do these things have in common? Your city, state, and federal, personnel, the driver's license division, what do they have in common? Well, and what he called it was basically, he called it a black hole of customer service. When you think about, and I think a lot of the public think about it that way, when you have to deal with the government in some aspect, that there's not going to be any customer service. In fact, we started out with the slide there, very pixelated picture of a DMV, but this picture here is actually of a recent visit I had to the driver's license division. A couple of weeks I went down and renewed my driver's license. First, I had to wait in here for an hour. There were at least 100 people ahead of me that needed to get service. And as I'm sitting here watching what's going on in the room, of course, you look around at the people in there and you can see, heads down and, just despair and boredom and pain and anguish going on there. Obviously the customer doesn't look real excited to be there, but what I noticed is that the clerks didn't seem real excited to be there either. I watched one clerk who could not have been moving slower if he tried. Yet there are hundreds of people standing out there waiting for service, and it was almost like he was making an effort to be slower than normal. Had to walk around a corner to get some paper off the printer, and a snail could have beat him to the printer. And that's really not an exaggeration. Well, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration. And what does that do to the people waiting? They're watching and they're seeing, the clerks aren't very happy, and they're obviously not making an effort to help get people through quickly. That just affects everybody's attitude about the whole process. In fact, when you come to the driver's license division, or when you have to go do business with any government office, why are you here? Well, basically, the answer to that is you're there because you have to be there. When I go to, a restaurant, or when I go to a movie theater, when I, go shopping in any kind of a business, I choose to go there because that's a place I want to shop. It's convenient for me, or maybe I really like the service, I like the products that they have there, but I choose to go there. When I go to renew my driver's license, I go there out of necessity. I choose to have a valid driver's license still, therefore, I have to go to the driver's license division and renew my license. So people often, when they come in to interact with us in our government entities, they're coming there out of a necessity, not because it's their first choice of places they want to go to today. Do we want to be here? Probably not. Now, in an ideal situation, people have great relationships with their customers. treating people well, they may not have real ill feelings about being there. But as a general rule, when we think about government customer service and going to an office and standing and waiting in line, no, we don't want to be here. What do we really want? Well, I want my license renewed. Okay, I want to get that taken care of, and I'd like to get it done as quickly as possible. In fact, I went to this office and sat there for an hour to get through, and later on my wife said, well, why didn't you go to the other one? There's another driver's license division, and it's about a half hour farther away, but they tend to, get people through a lot faster. I said, I really thought about that, but, it was a half hour away, and I really had to figure out how was I going to get through this the fastest way possible. And it turns out, the other option may have been just as good. What do I want? I want to get what I need, and I want to be able to get out of there. Can I get more than I want? Yeah, maybe there is, and maybe we can talk about how do you give people a little surprise? How do you give them a little bit more than what they're expecting? Because that really is an important part of customer service. So today we want to talk about what good customer service is going to include. What does it look like? So that we can provide good customer service. So the members of our public, the people that we interact with, so that they have a good feeling about us, so they have a good attitude towards us. What we wind up running up against is a perception that dealing with the government is going to be difficult, it's going to be a bad experience, and so people come into it lots of times with a real bad attitude to start with, and that doesn't make it any fun for us or for them. And so what can we do to make this a better experience for those that we have to interact with? What's the difference between going in and doing business at a government office versus choosing a private business that you want to go do business with? Well, in most cases, that private business does not have a monopoly on the product that you need. And if they do have a monopoly on the product that you need, they tend to be a little less caring or concerned, about your feelings, because they know you don't have any other place to go. If I can only get my cable service from one company, they're probably not going to give the best service. But when that cable company has to compete, they step up the game. They want you to have a good experience with them. Generally, when we're talking about a government entity, when I need services from my local government entity, it's something they have a monopoly on. I have to go down to the city office to get my dog license renewed, to get a building permit, to pay my water bill, to voice a complaint about the condition of the roads, to get police or fire service, elections. The list goes on, but these are all things that are only available to the members of the public from one place. So basically, as a general rule, we're a monopoly, and we don't have to worry about whether people are going to come back or not, because they have to interact with us. But if they're unhappy about it, what ramifications are there? And that's what we really need to think about. What happens as a result of customer service? Every year, American Express does what they call a customer service barometer. And there's some interesting statistics that we can learn from this survey that they do. When someone has a good customer service experience, they will tell other people about it. And what we saw in 2011 was that people would tell 9 other people about a good experience. So if you help someone have a good experience, they'll go share that with 9 other people, who will hopefully then maybe change their preconception about the experience they're going to have with you. In 2012, it's actually up to 15. Maybe changes in the economy, maybe people talk more about their shopping experiences, that we have more people now talking about the kind of customer service experiences they have than in the past. But people do share those good experiences with others. Also, they share the bad experiences. And this is kind of, we get in a multiplier effect a bit right here, because when someone has a bad experience with you, they don't just tell 9 or 10 different people about it. In 2011, they told 16 people, and in 2012, they told 24 people about their bad customer service. So people will tell almost twice as many people about their bad experience as their good experience. And so I have to, make sure someone has twice as many good experiences just to offset the bad experiences. And so that's something that we deal with. And as a general rule, the conception out there, the perception is that people aren't going to have good customer service when doing business with their government entity. We want to change that. We want to overcome this perception. We want to provide people with the opportunity to feel good about dealing with us. And really, when we talk about customer service, it comes down to building relationships. And if we have good, positive relationships with people, then that preconception can be overcome. Some other statistics that we learned from the American Express Customer Service Barometer is that 56% of consumers admit that they've lost their temper during a customer service interaction. 74% have asked for a supervisor. In other words, this person, I don't think they're cutting it. If I go to their boss, they'll be able to take care of my problem for me. And I think, lots of times we've learned that, hey, by asking to talk to a supervisor, I'm more likely to get my way, whether it is actually talking to the supervisor or just the threat of asking for a supervisor. So a lot of people, want to go over your head when they can't get the results that they want. 44% of people will just walk away, hang up the phone, just end the conversation. However, that's when they have an option. Lots of times, again, when we're dealing with that monopolistic service that they need, they may not have the option to just walk away when they're feeling frustrated, which is going to make them more apt to do some of these other behaviors. A consumer will frequently threaten to switch to businesses that they do business with. Again, our customers don't have that luxury. There's not another, sewer district. There's not another city or county office to go deal with. They have to deal with this one. And so when they don't have that tool in their arsenal, when they don't have that weapon in their arsenal to threaten to switch, they've got to look for other things to do when they're unhappy. And so some of those other things that they might do when they're unhappy and they can't, get satisfaction for, whatever the problem is they're having, they may tend to go to the media, make comments, post things on social media. They may come to your public meetings and make comments in your public meetings, go right to the city council or the mayor. They may run for office. I mean, how many times have you seen that? I don't think it's that uncommon that we have someone who thinks that the city or the county is doing a lousy job, and so they're going to run for office to fix it. And I see that going on in my city right now in the mayoral election going on. There's a candidate out there whose his big thing is to push that, certain services from the city are so terrible and the citizens are being abused. I don't think it's true. But, it's a perception of that one person. And so it creates problems for us when people have these bad experiences. 16% of consumers have even admitted that they've employed expletives when they're having a bad customer service experience. And so, we don't want to deal with that. That generally causes us to be in a situation where we're going to back off and maybe not be as friendly to someone when they start swearing at us in the middle of this experience. Customer service is the basis for people returning to visit a business again. Again, we don't have that problem, but do we want people to come back again, being happy and cooperative and pleasant, or do we want them to come back expecting the worst from us? And that makes our job a lot harder when they come in with that preconception of bad service. Remember, we're forming a relationship with people. Every interaction you have with somebody is forming a relationship and creating those expectations. The more good interactions that we have, not just adequate interactions, but really positive interactions that we have with people, the more people will expect good service from us, and the more they will come in and be pleasant with us when interacting with us. Remember, people are going to judge you by what they, and I'm going to throw another word into this, what they see you doing or what they perceive you doing. And there's that old saying, perception is reality. Now, I personally have a big problem with that saying, because when someone says perception is reality, it usually says to me that they believe something other than what is really happening. And so I don't believe that perception is necessarily reality, but for that individual who's in the customer service experience, who is watching just what they're seeing you doing, they don't see the big picture. They don't know everything that's going on, but what they see, is what they make that judgment on, and that is their reality. And that is something that we have to go up against, is a perceived reality of something that may be other than what it is, especially if it's negative. So let's talk about some earmarks of good customer service. People have certain expectations, when they are going to have a customer service interaction. Sometimes there's expectations that have built up over time. If you've heard the saying before, "give them the pickle," that is a customer service story from Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. And the restaurants there at Farrell's, used to give out a pickle with a certain entree. And there was this customer who really expected that pickle on his plate every time he ordered that entree. And one day, for whatever reasons, it was maybe to cut back on costs or something. Maybe they saw a lot of people not eating the pickles and throwing them away, so they decided, well, why give out the pickle if people don't, eat it? And so they stopped giving out the pickle. This customer asked for a pickle, and they told him, well, that's $1.50 extra if you want to have a pickle on the side. And so it really rubbed him the wrong way. Something that he'd always gotten before at no extra cost, he was now told he had to pay for that. And so giving someone the pickle is that thing that you can do for them that doesn't really cost you anything but maybe a little time. That pickle doesn't have a lot of cost to it. It's definitely not $1.50. But if I can make a customer happy by giving them the pickle, by smiling at them, by helping them with a problem, by going the extra mile for them, then we'll change a perception, and it will make a better experience for the customer and for you, and you'll be less likely to have problems with that customer making waves, running for office, filing a lawsuit, and other things like that. So service is a way that we give a pickle. Making things more convenient is another way that we can give people a pickle. Communicating better with them, returning phone calls, answering emails, that's a pickle. Oftentimes people will leave that message on the phone system and they never expect someone to call them back, especially, if it's from the local government office. And so, by communicating better with people, that will really make a good impression. Providing them with information that is useful and helpful to them. Now, those are all examples of pickles. Now, in your individual organizations, those pickles may take on more finite, specific, meanings. But identify what those things are that you can do for people that don't really cost you anything, that can add to a more pleasant experience with you. There's different types of customers that we have. You have internal customers and you have external customers. And I like to think of a customer as anybody who needs something from me or anybody who needs service from me. So the external customer is that member of the public who's coming in to file an application or a renewal for their dog license or whatever it is. That's your classic customer that you're thinking about. But we also have internal customers. Your boss is definitely an internal customer. If you take care of your boss and he's happy with your performance, that generally makes your life easier. Likewise, though, our coworkers and other people that are maybe even subordinate to us are also our customers. We all need something from each other. We all help each other with each other's jobs. And if someone in my office needs assistance from me, and I give them good customer service, then they're going to have a better experience and they're more likely to pass on that type of treatment to their customers. So really, whether it's inside the office or someone who's coming in from outside the office, good customer service really makes all of our lives easier and honestly more enjoyable too. So think about who your customers are, both inside and outside of your office. Do you feel good about your internal customer service? If your boss is treating you badly and you're getting bad customer service from him, or your coworkers are being really difficult to deal with, your attitude's going to be affected and you're not going to provide as good customer service to anybody. So we provide good customer service, not just by treating other people from outside the office good, but by treating everybody good. Ask yourself, did I enjoy that interaction with that person? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's no. And if it's no, we should ask ourselves why and see if we can change that. Being cooperative and understanding how we communicate with people is a very important part of customer service. We can't always do for a person what they want us to do. Lots of times people come in with a complaint and it's really outside of our power, whether it's something we can't do at all, or it's not, within the budget, or for whatever reason. Lots of times we can't really do exactly what that person wants. But by having good communication with that person and by, establishing a good relationship with them, we can still have a positive experience. I had a customer come into a shop one day about 20 years ago. I owned a small business, and I had this customer come in, and he was really upset about a product he had bought, and it didn't work right. It was probably just the wrong size of a part that he'd gotten, and he was really angry, and he just came in right out of the chute, started yelling and swearing at me. And of course, my first reaction was to kind of calmly tell him that, if he was going to come in and drop F-bombs on me in my store, you can leave. Now, that may sound like that's confrontational, but really I was hoping to be able to take care of him in a calm manner. I didn't want to be responding to him and running around because he's screaming and dropping F-bombs on me. And what I did was, I of course invited him to leave if he was going to be abusive, but then I explained to him also that I want to take care of you. I want to make sure that you have the right item. I want to make sure that you've had a good experience. So please let me do that for you. Would you just explain to me what happened and what the issue is, and let's make it right. And so we went through, I took care of him. He got the parts exchanged for the parts that he needed that worked. And, in the end, he was really kind of ashamed of himself because, he said, I always thought that I have to talk like that to get my way. And I hoped and I believe he left there that day realizing he doesn't always have to come in screaming and dropping F-bombs to get what he wants. But if he's visited a lot of businesses where the customer service was that bad, that's how he's going to think he needs to act. So for us to have to make our roads smoother, really customer service is very important. If we can remove that preconception that people are going to have a bad customer service experience, then we'll have much more positive, easier interactions with those people the next time they come in. So really, I think a lot of our goal isn't to just have good single incident experiences, but we need to use those to overcome these preconceptions so that down the road we have good experiences with everybody, and so that others hear that your office is easy and pleasant to deal with. Another thing to just kind of think about is your body language. When you're talking to somebody, there's certain things that will scream, I don't care to somebody. Standing there, with your arms crossed in front of you is a signal that you're being defensive, that you're going to be restrained, that you're going to hold back, that you're expecting to need to protect yourself. Being open with someone, facing them with your arms open, is more friendly gesture that makes someone feel like you're there to help them. Making good eye contact with someone. When someone comes up and they need something from you and you continue to look at the piece of paper on your desk or your monitor on something else you're doing, in your head you're saying, I'm listening to them and I'm going to take care of them, but to them they see you're ignoring them. And so their perception, their reality is that you're ignoring them. And that may not really be the case. But when I turn and I face them and I smile and I look them in the eye and I listen to them, then they know that I'm there to take care of them, to listen to them, to help them solve whatever their problem is. So avoid defensive or offensive postures, pointing at somebody or the arms crossed, but do face people, smile, and use their name. If you know their name, call them by name. If you don't know their name, find out what their name is and then use it so that they feel that they matter to you. Using someone's name really is a magical thing. It makes you feel more personal. We want people to realize they don't have to be a baby to get what they want. If they can come in and just ask nicely, that they'll be taken care of nicely. So here's some keys, 10 keys to good customer service that I want you to think about. Number one, when your phone's ringing, answer it. Don't let the phone ring more than 3 times without answering the phone. And along with that, I always like to say someone who's gotten out of their chair and come down to talk to me in person is more important to me than the person who calls me on the phone. So make the person who's standing in front of you a priority. Don't make them sit there and wait for you to finish a phone conversation. Yes, answer the phone by the 3rd ring, but if you have other people actually there in front of you, ask the person on the phone for their number and call them back as soon as you're done, and you can give them attention. That way nobody's just standing there feeling like they're being ignored, but make sure you really call that person back. Use the customer's name, like I said. It makes them feel like they matter. They feel like you know who they are, that they matter, and they're important. So use their name. Do what you say and keep your promises. If I tell that person on the phone, hey, I've got somebody here in front of me right now, can I call you back? make sure you call them back as soon as possible so they know you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And that goes with everything in the customer service interaction. If you tell someone you're going to do something, if you make a promise, make sure you keep that promise. Show empathy. You don't have to admit guilt if someone's coming in and complaining about something that's happened, especially if it's, something they may claim damage for, but you can show them that you are empathetic to how they feel and show them that you actually care as a person that they're having a difficult time. So show empathy to people. Deal with complaints and really, whether it's one you can solve or not, make sure the person feels like you've heard them, that you're listening to them. I had someone complain recently that their boss will tell members of the public when they come in with a complaint, he just says to them, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, basically saying that is like saying, well, there's nothing we're going to do. You can feel this way. It's not going to change anything. So, too bad for you. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's not an apology, and that's not empathy. We can listen to complaints, whether we can actually solve the problem or not. If the customer knows that we are listening and understanding them, they will feel better about the interaction. Maybe we can explain, why something can or can't be done, but they need to know that you are empathetic towards them and hearing them. Listen more than you talk. That is very important in customer service. When someone is telling you something, when they're asking for something or complaining about something, repeat back to them what their question is so that they know that you understand, what they're saying. Be helpful, guide them through a process. If you're showing them if they're asking you where something is, if you can get up out of your chair and walk down the hall and show it to them, that says so much more than just kind of pointing out, the door and around the corner. Anytime when it's possible, go that extra mile with someone. Show them how to work their way through the process easier for them. Give them tips. We all know that there's better ways to get through a process than what the layperson may know. And so help people out so that they feel like you're there to help them make it as painless as possible. Have a plan. Have a customer service plan that says, we will open our office on time or early. We won't close it early. We will look people in the eye. We'll smile when we're talking to people. We'll answer the phone by the third ring. Get together in your office and do some training and make sure that you have a standard set that everybody sticks to. Make that a part of your annual review process as well. What kind of customer service do you give? How good are you, at smiling to people and making them feel welcome and helped when they come in? So take that extra step. Don't just tell them something, show them if you can. Do something unexpected. People are going to expect you to just shove a form, through the window at them and tell them to come back. But if you can do a little bit more, for them by, showing them aspects of the form that are maybe difficult to understand and explaining something to them or filling something out for them or providing them an easier way for them to go through a process, do that unexpected thing for them. And most importantly, enjoy yourself. If you're happy at work, if you're happy interacting with people, if you enjoy the interaction with your customers, internal or external, they are much more likely to also enjoy the experience. So when we smile, when we share a joke, when we show concern for other people, and we just basically have a good attitude and enjoy being there, then others will enjoy it as well. And that's the key to customer service. Remember, it's about building a relationship. Would you treat this person standing in front of you the same if it was your mother or your best friend? And that's really what it comes down to. I want a relationship with this person, and they should feel like I'm treating them like a friend or like family. They will come back, they will tell others they had a good experience, and we won't have to overcome these preconceptions about bad customer service that probably isn't even really the truth. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Doug. That was great. I really appreciate the time you took to put this in, and I appreciate the opportunity to work on some customer service myself. We had a couple of folks that had some challenges with their audio, and if you were one of those, I apologize for any problems you may have had there. We worked through most of them, I believe. If you do have any questions you would like to ask, you can go ahead and type those in the chat section in your control panel. And we are a little over the time that we had posted there, so we probably won't spend a lot of time on questions. So type quickly there. Seeing none, I think we'll go ahead. Thanks once again, Doug. I really appreciate that, and I hope everybody can go out there and have a safe day.
Bye-bye.